Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of me rebuilding and restoring a 1945 Ford Into tractor. Now, last night you saw me put on a brand new starter and a brand new coil. As you can see, this morning I went ahead and took off the coil as well as the distributor. When I put it on last night, I noticed there was a bunch of gunk and grime, and I just skipped this step instead of taking the time and go ahead and cleaning this. So I went ahead and took it off this morning. It's only held on by 2 bolts. That's the easy part of this. Once you go ahead and take off that coil and then take off the spark plug cap, you will see the timing rod. Now, when you take it off, you need to keep in mind which way this is pointing, because even though that there is a straight bar, so it can only go in one of 2 ways, if you put this in incorrectly, it could actually cause your engine to turn in reverse, and which causes backfire, and it's not going to be good. So just keep in mind which way it was pointing so you can put it in the proper way when you put it all back together. So now, since we have this taken off, I'm going to take you into our building and sit you down, and we're going to go through how to completely take this apart, clean it properly, put it back together with new gaskets, and then we'll put it back on the tractor. The main screws that you need to undo are this flathead, this one, and then these 2. So we'll go ahead and loosen those up real quick, take them out. Alright, that took a little longer than expected, but with the combination of the flathead and pliers, you can go ahead and pull those 2 pieces out. Now, since everything is apart, you can go ahead and clean everything with whatever you so choose, whether that's soapy water, alcohol wipes, whatever. Me personally, I'm going to go ahead and put the housing of this into my sandblaster with a really fine grit, and that'll get rid of all that gunk and grime on the outside of it. And then on the inside, I'm just going to use alcohol wipes along with all these other pieces. So I'm going to clean everything up, and I'll be right back. Now it's time for reassembly. So you're first going to want to grab this plate. This is what holds your points, and then you're going to attach this plate to it. You're going to go ahead and put those 2 flathead screws back in there. The next part is the actual point, your points. So you're going to slide that on there. And you can do this inside the housing, but it's just easier while it's outside. Putting in these little screws are difficult as it is. Putting the housing in the way is even more difficult. Make sure you put this little cotter pin back. So slide that back on through. You might have to use some needle nose, depending on how bent up it was when you first took it out. Go ahead and get that in. And then just go ahead and bend the back side of it so it can't come off. There we go. Okay, once you have everything reattached, you can go ahead and put your dog ears back in. When you check these, just make sure that they come in and out. If they don't, it might require you using a flathead or something to see if they can loosen up. If not, you might just have to buy some new ones. When you put them in, you want to make sure that there's no play. If there is play in it, you might consider buying a new housing. But that's entirely up to you. So go ahead and put those in, and then we're going to go ahead and put this plate back in. Line it up. Almost there. Yeah, there we go. Now we're going to go ahead and line up the screw hole to make sure the plate is in the right way. Like I said before, this is the screw that allows you to change your timing, but for right now we're gonna set it in the center. And for most Ford tractors, putting it right in the center is exactly where it needs to be. But it allows you to change it when you're all said and done, if you need to. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten that, and now we need to put it in the center. So just twist this a little bit. Now once you have it in there, it's time to actually set your points where they need to be. So once you look at if you look at this, there's flat sides and then there are rounded sides. You're gonna want to turn the back of this until your point is on one of those rounded sides, so the peak, and then this distance needs to be 25 thousandths inches, or 0.63 millimeters. You can go ahead and buy a steel plate if you want that is 25 thousandths. You can make a steel plate. Easiest way that I found, however, is if you fold 6 pieces of paper together, you get 25 thousandths. So that's a quick little easy way. It'll save some money, save some time. Now how you adjust this is through this flathead screw right here. So you're gonna wanna loosen that. Make sure that your paper can get in there. Make sure that it can get in there without too much resistance. So we're gonna go ahead and keep that in there while we tighten this all up. You wanna make it nice and snug. Make sure you tighten both screws so this plate can't move. And there you go. Your timing is now set up. And you can see on the peaks, there's that 25 thousandths. On the valleys, it closes. So you have that constant rotation. Which here in a second, I will show you how to test that in case you are concerned you didn't set it up right. Okay, the last thing that you need to install is this guy right here. I already did it off camera. It was kind of difficult because you have to undo that screw right there. But it's installed. With a little bit of finagling, you'll get it. Now it is time to put the rest of it back together. So go ahead and take your point. Go ahead and rotate it how you originally found it out of the motor. And now it is time to put your gaskets on. You can go ahead and order gaskets if you want. I went ahead and made my own just because it's a little bit cheaper. Perfectly fine, whatever you so choose. I just went to the local hardware store and got a roll of cork, and it works out great because in the past they always made them out of cork. So if we're rebuilding an old tractor, why not keep it the same, right? Once you get your distributor all back together, before we put this back on the tractor, we want to test if it is functioning and working properly. And how we can test that is by using a multimeter on the continuity setting, which all that tells us is when the positive touches the negative by an audible beep. So how this will work and how we're going to test this is that each of these 4 points, we should hear a beep. In between, we should not hear a beep. So if we go to the back, because this corresponds with this, just think as every time that you're on one of these 4 quadrants, you should hear a beep. So if it's pointing this way, we should hear a beep. In the middle, none, and then so on and so forth around. How we're going to test this is we're going to put a positive up here at the top, the positive here at the top, and then the negative on somewhere on the housing. So right now we are lined up with the first spark plug point. We should hear an audible beep. We do. If we go to the middle, we should not hear a beep. If we go to the next spark plug point, we should hear a beep. And so on and so forth around. Alright, now since we have the distributor put back together and it's functioning and working properly like it should be, we can go ahead and reinstall it back on the front of the engine. Alright guys, that'll wrap it up for today's video. It's not exactly what I had planned for. I was planning on working on the wiring harness, but I skipped a step yesterday that I shouldn't have, so I'm glad that we took the time and we properly cleaned the distributor and got it functioning as it should be, unlike how it was before where it wasn't functioning properly. So I'm glad that we got it taken care of and out of the way so we don't have to backtrack later on. If you guys like these videos, please give me a thumbs up, maybe hit that follow button. Go ahead and turn on the notification bell as well so you know when the next part of this series comes out and other content that I make as well. If you'd like to support this channel and this project and other projects that I do, I have a Patreon I will link down below, along with a couple other links as well. As always guys, have a good day and I'll see you next time.